Hello, everyone. Welcome back to This Week in Guns, brought to you by Patriot Patch Company and Primary Arms. This show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Matthew LaRosiere, and I'm here again with my co-host, Sean Heron. Sean, how is it going?
It goes well. Thank you very much for asking. Nothing has gone wrong today. Everything is wonderful.
That's, I don't believe you, but that's good. Yeah, so sorry about the little absence, guys. We've got a new schedule now, and we're going to be good to go moving forward.
Yeah, it actually happened that there was a lot of travel going on, weirdly enough.
Yeah. So we saw each other at the Iraq veteran shoot.
Yes.
And that was 2 weeks ago.
Shoot each other. We saw each other.
We were supposed to, but we decided that with the price of ammunition, it would just be a waste.
Who can afford that?
Yeah. But yeah, we hung out there, we talked. And then this last weekend was Knob Creek. And I had never been. And people were saying that it was going to be the last one. This is going to be the last one. And I frankly do not believe that, just because of the raw amount of money.
I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, did you see that announcement?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, they're like, well, due to rising ammo costs and the changing political climates.
Yeah. I saw a bunch of footage from that. It didn't look like the rise in ammo costs did anything weird.
No, they were like shooting the, they have the M134, the minigun.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they usually do like 3 seconds bursts, but they did like 10-second bursts.
Gee,
it was preposterous.
308, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there was like, my friend took a picture of the mountain of brass, literally from the floor up to the chute on those, which are like
what?
That's 3 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just literally, they were firing it that much.
Amazing.
So I just don't believe, I think, here's what I think. I think that they were concerned, what with, the virus, that people would still not want to come or whatever. And so they said something like this to get more people to show up, because I will tell you something, man, it was like Mecca in there.
Yeah.
It was loaded. It was on the first day, it took 3 hours to get in.
I totally believe it. Like, with it being the last one, I was actually planning on going until plans got a little bit jacked up. But when I saw the lines of people waiting to get in, I was like, oh, that's okay. I'm glad I'm not there.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to check out the gun show because I always heard that there was way cool stuff there. And I did see some way cool stuff. And I bought some trinkets.
Trinkets.
Yeah. Little gun pieces that no one else would care about. A bunch of like French pieces and scraps that I was there to snap up. But that was fun. That was interesting. I didn't know you were planning on going. I would have goaded you.
Yeah. Well, the idea was when we were taking the RV, we were going to go to Georgia. And then on the way back, I was going to hit Tennessee for a few days and then go up to Kentucky for that, which was the following weekend. And then head home after that, like probably getting home maybe about now.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen.
People kept saying there when they were like, oh, is this your first one? I'm like, oh, they're like, oh, and it's your last too. And I was like, apparently I was the only person who did not believe that.
Yeah, no, I never believed it either. I'm like, nah, I doubt that.
When there's literally and it was actually like sardine stuff like this in the gun show, and every single person gives $15 to this event. You think, I mean, come on.
Right. That's great money. Like, gun shows clearly make money, or else nobody would do them.
Right.
They're not doing it for the betterment of the 2A. They're doing it because they want to make money, and that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing.
Right.
Because
just the sheer amount of tables there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they charge for a table, but I doubt it's $100, right? It's probably a lot more.
And then don't they like charge to shoot the machine guns too?
Yes.
Yeah. So like all the vendors are making money.
Everyone, it's just like a big, infinite money glitch where everyone's paying each other in there. So I just don't believe that. But anyway,
yeah.
So
makes me sad.
I've got to. It is very sad.
It is.
Something just changed with my lighting.
Something changed with his lighting.
I look like
He looks like.
I look like our former president, so I just had to change something.
Oh, now you look great. That was all the difference.
Yeah, I don't know what that was, but I was really uncomfortable with how carrot skinned I was.
is a little bit carrot, but also is just like you were dark sitting in a basement watching anime.
How'd you know? Anyway, the first story is it brings incredible sadness. So I don't know how many of you guys are super into the 3D printing community, but there's a guy who was in Europe. He was always operating under a pseudonym, but he was working tirelessly to make sure that anyone anywhere could make a firearm to use in self-defense. He worked on home makeable barrels. He worked on the FGC9 project. He worked nonstop, and a lot of stuff happened over the past few months, but the German press broke news recently that he has died, and it was under suspicious circumstances. So here's what happens. He did a video with Popular Front. It was an incredible video. Incredible. He needed to conceal his identity, so he bought, he had a black jacket, big sunglasses, a hood, and everything. Apparently, the authorities, the German feds, which, like, really in a country that small, like, we think of something like that as a state level, but German federal police, I can only imagine how much money they spent to find out who this guy was.
Yeah, right.
They managed to get his information from eBay after tracking the specific articles of clothing that he had bought, lining them up to sellers, right? And then getting that information from eBay and Coinbase, where he was getting donations or something. I'm not 100% sure what was going on there, but he got outed by the reports indicate Coinbase and eBay. They handed him over to the Germans. He was raided, and they found nothing. He had nothing in his possession that was, illegal under the law there. But they were, how it is when the government feels insulted or whatever, they're going to trump something up.
Yeah.
And so they had to let him go. And 2 days after he was out on his own, he was found dead in his car outside of his family's house.
What?
And they indicate that it was cardiac arrest. They immediately saying that an investigation ruled out negligence or foul play and ruled out suicide, which, and then they outright say in this article, they outright say that he died of natural causes. And that doesn't sound right. He was, in his 20s. This had just been going on with him. And I mean, I knew the guy. He was, he wasn't a bodybuilder or anything, but there was nothing wrong with him. Like, really, like nothing super wrong with him. They say that he had a weak heart. He never said anything about that to me. So just the whole thing is incredibly suspicious. And it's
Putin?
What?
Where was Putin?
Where,
I want to know.
Where was he?
Yeah, where was he that day?
Yeah. Right. But this is those of us in the community are truly distraught. This is a person who, there are not a lot of people who will do anything to fight for their beliefs, and he was one of them. And there are even fewer people who are internally morally consistent. And he was always consistent, right? Everything he did, all of his beliefs, you could reconcile all of them all the time. And this guy died pursuing. So even if, even if it was just a heart attack, right, brought about by the stress of the government coming down by him, to me that counts as you were killed pursuing your your mission, right? Your objective. And his only objective, and he would always say the same thing, he just wants freedom of expression for all people and the right to bear arms in self-defense. And he, he said that y'all should really check out the Popular Front video, because he just says so much awesome stuff. He is just really an incredible person, and it's deeply upsetting, but to me it's a message to live on like he would, right? For all of us to fight for what is right and be consistent and stick with it in the face of everything, because if if the world is full of people like Jstark, that's the only way freedom is going to ultimately persevere.
As I understood it, he wasn't like a per se engineer or weapons designer or anything. Like, he had just picked it up and started doing it and became great at it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I remember he got a mini lathe at one point, and just a personal anecdote, he was complaining about it in one of the chats, and I was like, I'll teach you. And so I sat up with him for, he was so determined, right? I sat up with him at like 3 a.m, right, for hours, going like, all right, now do this, now do that, now do that. And he was just such a good guy, right? A bit weird, but aren't we all?
Yeah.
But just a real passionate and dedicated and really a sweet person. And I think that I just want everybody to know everything positive I can say about him, because I know that they're going to, well, just like the German press here in the Spiegel article, it takes them many paragraphs to even say that he died, while they're talking about how terrifying 3D weapons are, how right-wing extremists were using and referencing his files, like just talking about all of these people. And by the way, Stark would openly disavow any kind of extremist, hateful rhetoric. He would kick people out of the chats for being racist and stuff like that. But of course, what does the German press have to do but say, oh, by the way, yeah, also this type of technology was used by the the HAL assassin, who's that guy who tried to and the Yom Kippur shooting guy.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't actually use any of the stuff the group developed, right? But there's evidence that he looked at it and tried to make some of it.
Half this article is about that.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. And I mean, you can even say in the article, they quote Ivan as saying, if he had actually worked with us, his weapons would have worked. Yeah.
Jeez.
That may sound awful now, but if he'd worked with us, his weapons would have worked reasonably well, agreed his colleague Ivan.
Dang.
Yeah.
It's a shame, man. Some great quotes. What is it? I am extremely peaceful was one of them. Yep. Was that from that thing you were talking about?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Live free or fucking die is
that's cool.
One of his. What just and also a thing he said. I'm getting a little affected, but he said in that interview, when people are like, when people accuse you of being an extremist, he said, I believe in free speech and the right to bear arms. If that's too extreme for you, fuck yourself.
That's great.
He was just a real hardcore guy.
It's awesome, man.
A real hero. And so everyone should remember him. His name was Jacob. And he didn't fight for money. He didn't fight for recognition. Everything he did was under a fake name.
Mm-hmm.
He did it because he loved freedom and he loved the people, everyone in the world. And he wanted us all to have this ability to protect ourselves. And so we should We should never forget him.
Don't squander what he fought for.
Yep. Pick up the torch and keep going.
Yep. That's
what he would want.
Yeah.
And he said in the Popular Front, he said, if I go down, 1,000 people will pick up the work. So
go do it.
Go do it.
There's tons of free modeling things that you can get and tons of free resources to help you learn how to do things in them. But, you know, the ultimate thing here is that with these tools that we have and with the internet and the open exchange of data, and even honestly, like when that goes away, when that's regulated out of existence, there's other ways for us to do things.
Yep.
And, you know, can't stop the signal. I know that's so cliche, but it is so freaking
it's completely true.
Yeah. So
that's why, you know, we sometimes get annoyed with what we call file hoarders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people who just download all the files just to have them and collect them.
Mm-hmm.
We mostly get annoyed with them because they like are too lazy to go get the files themselves, right? They want you to.
Yeah.
But
guilty.
Everything you want, even if you can't make it now,
mm-hmm.
download it, put it on something hard, right? Not a flash drive, put it on a DVD, put it on whatever, and, you know, put it on a floppy disk. I don't care. And just have it. You can just have it. In the future, it may be incredibly useful to have all that stuff.
Definitely.
Yep.
Print it out and then OCR it back into a computer someday when you need to.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man, that's a terrible loss. And I'm sorry for your personal loss. I'm sorry for the loss to the community. Like, freaking awful. And yeah,
he should have been able to. This is a guy who should have been able to do everything he was doing. And if he lived in America, he still wouldn't have even been able to. So let's not just pretend this is just a German problem, right? Like there's people in the community who are American and who still have to protect their identities because there's a lot of very powerful people who would love to see them not around anymore, right?
It's weird how we keep getting out freedomed by people that aren't in America.
Well, maybe because they have a more acute sense of
exactly. We become too passive and like we take everything for granted, man.
Yeah. Are we just pacified because we, you know, can sit in a home office full of guns, right? Is that that's, I mean, it might be a hell of an illusion. I don't know, but I just know that people who live in like places like Germany, Australia, and I mean, Australia is the wildest one, right? Like they are so backwards at this point, but that's where we see the, you know, adversity breeds. What's the old quote? Adversity breeds something.
I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about. I cannot think of like what the quote is though.
Yeah. Somebody put it down in the comments while you like the video. But, you know, through true adversity, you get real invention and real grit and perseverance. And so I'm not surprised to see European people, Asian people working extremely hard. I saw in the, you know, in the gunpowder project, Asian people, you know, busting their butts, helping figure out the chemistry and everything. And it was awesome. These people really care about freedom. I just got a Patreon on Fudbusters, and I saw the email address. Well, one, I was like, oh, his pledge is in euros. And then I looked at his email address and I'm like, this is a French guy. And so I sent him a thank you message in French, and he was just like, you know, he replied back and he said, we're already screwed. So, you know, I'm wanting to help someplace that has more of a chance. Like that's an incredible sentiment, right? It's like,
yeah,
you value freedom, you love freedom, and you're thinking, what's the best thing I can do? And that doesn't mean, and if you're out there, if you're one of our 8 European viewers, just kidding. I'm sure we have way more than that. It's kind of like shocking the amount of people who are interested. You know, don't give up at home. It's still important to talk to people around you in your life and make emotional and logical arguments in favor of personal liberty and things like gun ownership. Definitely don't give up. But we do appreciate your help here in the US as well.
Yeah, and the support and the consumption. Aren't there some Jstark posters out there? I think I saw that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, and there's a 3D printable bust.
That's cool.
I'm gonna put. I'm working on taking it and making it like human sized. I plan to print it out and put it in our office. I'm gonna put plaster over it so it's, so it looks
that's cool,
like a rock one.
Yeah, that's cool. Is that where is that file posted?
I mean, it's like, hold on. I think it's actually on Thingiverse.
Okay, cool.
Let me just make sure,
because I think I would like to do that. I think I'm going to get a Jstark poster and I'm going to put it over my 3D printer.
Oh, look at this! This man is your friend. He fights for freedom, and it's a picture of Jstark.
Yeah, very cool. Let's see.
If if it's not on Thingiverse, I'll find a link to the bust and put it in the show notes so y'all can download it if you want it.
Cool.
All right.
Never stop.
So, for sure, 100%. Next up, we have people working desperately, passionately to make our country more like the one that saw Jstark come to an end. So this article I found on Pennsylvania homepage, and it says, so here's what the headline says: Governor Wolf joins New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut governors to share gun crime data.
Oh.
Like, that sounds very,
or
like reasonable. I mean, it sounds reasonable, that sentence, right? They're going to share gun crime data.
Right.
Well, think about how vague that term is, right? What is a gun crime in these states? Well, oftentimes just owning a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they're working together, to me, and I read their little agreement here, it's all super, super vague. To me, what I think they're going to use this for is to basically, every time they find a gun, see whether it was purchased or sold in this community of states, to try to bust somebody for, like, transferring it over the line or selling it to a friend or something like that. That's what this looks like to me.
Right, because they've really been trying to push the agenda that free states are hurting prison states.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the penal colonies are upset that where people live, the articles of freedom, firearms, can just kind of walk over the border. But yeah, so that's like you said, Orwellian and ridiculous. But if you're in PA, it's one more reason to, I don't know, leave or remove your governor.
Yeah, you got to vote these people out. Like, I don't know. At some point, like, regular people are going to get it, but I think by that point it's going to be too late, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, because you can do so much double speak, right? You can do so much news talk. They're sharing gun crime data. And so that I'm sure even, low information gun owners are like, heck yeah, enforce the laws we got on the books.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need more laws.
I hear that every day.
Yeah. And you're like, you know what we have on the books? Like, a lot.
Yeah. A lot of terrible laws.
Yeah. Oh man, that is something that triggers me. I hope they're not watching, but I had somebody who was a viewer of my channel I met in person, and we met at like a gun show or something. He's like, what we really need is just like, they just got to enforce the laws we already have. And I just went,
we need to abolish the laws we already have.
Yeah, no, I couldn't hold it in. I was like, or like not.
Yeah.
Like statutory neglect. I just started saying statutory neglect is a really good thing. That would be a good first step. And then we like delete all the laws.
Right. Exactly. Just suddenly the hard drive gets corrupted.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about it. We have laws that make you a felon if you go like it's a felony to take a rifle and make it a pistol, but not a pistol and make it a rifle.
Yes. Yeah. The dumbest thing
That's
ever.
it's a little bit clown car.
Yeah. The other day I went to put a little foregrip on an AR pistol and I was like, wait a minute, can't do that. Cause
Well, you can because you're a special boy.
well, yeah. But also when I post online, like I try to walk this line. Like I do have an FFL and an SOT. And I try to walk this line where like I don't do things specifically that normal people like that everyday citizens can't do. Like I
Right.
have things that are more difficult for normal everyday citizens to do. But when I post like online, I'm not it's like I never want it to be a flex. Although I do post some like full auto Friday stuff and that's always a flex. But in general, when I post something, I want it to be the stuff regular people can have because that's like the reality.
Right.
And
Yeah, it makes you feel guilty. And especially because like I'm an SOT as well. We kind of like it's kind of like bending the knee, right?
mm-hmm,
It's like
it is.
I'll give you 500 or $1,000 every year, and then
Yes.
maybe I can put the grip on it, please.
Exactly. If you let me lick the boot, sir.
Yeah, I'll lick your boot, and I'll tell you when I do it. I'll send you the form, okay? When I
Yes. So this article about these 4 prison colonies,
yeah.
they're using ATF basically, right? They're providing this data to the federal government. Is that how I understand it?
Well, so they're working. So recip. They're sharing data with each other.
Mhm.
So yeah.
But look, whereas
Well, yeah.
ATF maintains a collective data sharing program that allows
Right.
participating state and local law enforcement agencies to access the e-trace reports provided to
Right.
all participating agencies. And then are these 4 states now going to feed that database? Is that how I understand this?
So that'll be one part of it. So like, there's like 29 whereas clause.
I did see
Yeah.
that, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas
And
Matt has a great beard. Whereas
yeah, they can like put in whatever they want. Like the operative part is now there for the reciprocal, like, and that starts on page 4.
oh jeez.
The
Okay.
actual operative part. That's just like the underlying facts. The parties agree as following: each party shall transmit its crime gun data, with the exception of traces that have been designated priority and are sensitive to the other party's law enforcement agencies, via a mutually agreed upon secure transmission method on a regular basis, the frequency of which shall be determined by the parties based upon their respective criminal intelligence needs and priorities. Such transmissions shall include a copy of each e-trace report the party receives from ATF, and or a spreadsheet containing all the data from such e-trace reports. So it's actually that they're sharing with each other stuff that the state does with ATF.
I see.
So they're basically making a shared drive that
Yeah,
they
and
dump all of their stuff into.
absolutely. And I did notice on the item 1D. No, where'd it go? I just had it. I lost it. It talks about using a spreadsheet. Um, there it is. Such transmissions shall include a copy of each e-trace report the party receives from ATF, and or a spreadsheet containing all the data from such e-trace report. So now there's
Right.
going to be this big, huge spreadsheet that guaranteed these idiot politicians are going to click on a Facebook link and share their entire fucking hard drive with like all the idiots out there. And this will be out in the public like in a month.
Yeah, so I think that's the spreadsheet is for like it's and or the spreadsheet of that e-trace report.
Mm,
But that's,
I see.
that's just one part of it. But with the trace, so here's the real thing: with trace data, you can, so like if you ran a trace on every gun,
Yes.
you could develop a very bad, right? Not a very good one, a very bad gun registry.
Right.
And so basically what this does is gives each other all of that data, right? They're not getting, apparently, they're not causing ATF to like run new traces. They can't do that. But every trace they do, they have the, you know, chain of custody, the entire chain of custody of each firearm right? That's a little concerning. They'll use this to harass gun dealers, I'm sure, in each other's states,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, like, they'll be like, and we've seen them try to do this before. It's like 5% of crime guns came from this dealer, so they're a crime boys. It's like, or they're a big store, you idiot.
Yeah, a big store in a bad neighborhood.
More likely just a big store, right? Like I bet you a lot of crime guns at one point were in the hands of Primary Arms,
True.
or
High point.
or Palmetto State.
Yeah, no, I agree. Actually,
They're big, they're a big sellers. That's just like if you took data that said, oh, of four-door cars, Toyota dealers, account for a disproportionate amount of the accidents. Well, did your proportions include the fact that that is like one of the most common four-door cars on the road?
right? Exactly.
Like it's ridiculous. But so yeah, that's if you're in one of those states, whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, man.
That's your life.
They done did it to you again.
Yeah.
But you're used to it, so whatever. A lot of people in PA like are really, they think that the state's gun friendly, and it's not. Like it's I mean, I don't mean that to offend anybody there, but it's that's a state where your Supreme Court upheld the creation of effective handgun registry because it wasn't called a registry.
Right.
Even though the law specifically forbids it. So it's just a crazy place to be, man. It's really sad what's going on up there.
It's just, yeah, it is. And it sucks. And we like lots of listeners, lots of gun people in those states too, which is even worse.
Oh yeah. I got lots of friends up there. And they've got lots of guns. And then they're telling me, oh yeah, no. I was selling, like they'll tell me I was selling this gun to one of our mutual friends who's up there.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to go to the FFL and why?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a handgun. And they're just already washed into it. They don't even they're not even mad about it anymore.
Right.
It's so sad.
It's just common. It's life as they know it.
Yep.
So annoying, man.
So who makes rifles in Austria?
Rifles in Austria.
Mm-hmm.
God, I have no idea. Is it?
Yeah, me either.
Schwarzenegger Armory?
Yeah. Well, so this one is interesting. So we got the data back now, and there's a report that's available on the Reload. It shows that 2020 was a huge year for gun imports. And let me pull it up here.
Oh, wow. Austria handguns. Which handguns do they make?
Oh, I wouldn't worry about it. It's probably some obscure, but
it's 1.2 million, right? Yeah.
Yeah, almost 1.3.
Wow.
So yeah, here's 1986 to 2019, and then 2020. Almost 7 million guns. Whereas
awesome.
The previous highest year was 2013. I wonder what happened then. And that was just over 5 million guns.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so Austria, we clearly know who that is.
Yeah.
The Philippines, Rock Island.
Yep, Rock Island, and all of the other many, ones there.
Yeah, I'm looking for these big outliers. Canada. 232,000 rifles.
Yeah, I wonder what all that is. I mean, I can't really think of what it would be.
No.
I know we get a lot of their old English surplus stuff. Like, I know a bunch of Lee Enfields and stuff came from there, but I don't think enough to account for that many.
Yeah.
And 982 shotguns. But then my favorite thing is look at Turkey.
Yeah. All those shotguns.
Yeah, all those like little those stupid pot metal bullpup and AR style shotguns. Over 1 million shotguns alone were imported from Turkey. Then China, a lot of people don't realize shotguns are not treated as firearms under certain laws related to gun imports.
Mm-hmm.
And so we imported 200,000 shotguns from China just a lot of stuff. It's yeah. So the biggest importer of guns was not Austria, it was Turkey. So between all the Canic pistols, which are discount P99s, really,
Mhm.
and the shotguns, they got almost 1.5 million firearms, whereas Austria pulled just under 1.3 million, followed by Brazil,
Yeah, Brazil. Like I know that.
Taurus,
Okay, that makes sense.
Taurus, and Imbel.
That makes sense.
Yep. Uh, and everything like the shotguns. What are those? Come on.
Yeah, that
um,
one's easy.
yep, yep. And yeah, that's a million firearms from Brazil, and then we get a sharp drop off to Croatia, which is where your precious Smith and Wesson is made. It's all handguns.
Mm.
Sweden, which is almost all shotguns. I guess those are Huskies and stuff.
I still
It's
want to know.
interesting to see Italy is still primarily shotguns over handguns.
That's not. That is true. Yeah.
I mean, I do have a Beretta 1301,
Yeah.
and then there's Benelli, and which I think they're the same company now, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
What handguns is Slovenia importing?
So those are they're Glock clones, and they're really popular and they're really affordable and they're actually quite good.
Really?
Yeah, those are yeah, I don't remember what they're called.
I don't
The
either.
UK, Bulgaria, Switzerland, uh Israel. We know what those are, all those IWIs.
Yes. The Jericho in triplicate.
I'll take a 6-pack of Yericos, please. We got Howas coming from J.A. Pan. And then, of course, Czech Republic is pretty far down on the list. And also, it's interesting to see how low Germany is, only 350,000 guns. Well, I guess they don't like selling us guns anyway.
Yeah.
That is the whole.
It's crazy. That's a lot of imports.
Yeah, it is. So let's keep it
Almost
going, guys.
7
Bring them
million.
in.
Yeah. Let's keep doing it until they outlaw it.
And then keep doing it anyway, just like the founders did.
Exactly.
I didn't say that.
Hey, what's Richard Heller up to?
Oh, just being dick.
That's his name, people. Calm
Yeah,
down.
that's his name. So he is, and before any of you get upset, I spent time with Richard a lot in when I was in DC. Hilarious guy.
I've met him. He's pretty awesome, actually.
He's hilarious. He's a lot of fun to hang out with, and he is in a new suit. Let's pull it up here. It's his full-time job now is suing the District of Columbia.
I love it.
I got an article by our friend Dan Zimmerman here. So now he is suing over the city's ghost gun ban. The lawsuit argues that the city's ghost gun law is overbroad, and it basically winds up outlawing all polymer-based guns, including top-selling handguns made by Block, which are issued to most DC police officers. The new law makes an exception for military and law enforcement users, of course.
Of course.
So then Heller's lawyer has said DC elected officials have long adhered to a cynical policy of self-government for me, but no self-defense for thee.
Makes sense.
So that's cool.
Who does he work with? GOA or Second Amendment?
So he works with all the major ones. He's worked with all of them. Really,
that makes sense. I wonder. I don't see the case in this or I'm sorry, the actual complaint in here anywhere. I wonder because they usually generally have like Dick Heller and
Can you pull it up?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just curious. I think it's good for people to know like who is kind of running some of these cases sometimes, or at least working on these cases with Richard. Yeah. And by the way, Dick Heller is a really cool guy. He's like,
so this one, yeah, he's hilarious. If you ever see him at a cocktail party or whatever, go talk to him, and he will be happy to talk to you because he's friendly.
Yes.
Andrew Hansen. So the named plaintiffs are Heller, Andrew Hansen, and LB Goodwin. And let's see who they are associated with.
That's a good question. I don't know. Okay. Well, anyway, like,
do you know?
No, I have no idea. I was curious just because generally you see that, or even I wondered if it was the NRA.
1 second.
Because they do have a lot lobbyist folks in Washington, D.C. Still, I assume they haven't been outlawed. But it would be pretty cool if Heller had a couple of DC versus Heller that came out on the side of freedom.
Now I'm all upset. I'm trying to figure out who did this.
Yeah. I don't.
Cam Edwards wrote about it, and it's not mentioned there. Because
I'm right. Generally these organizations like team up with citizens that have been infringed, and they like fund a bit of the lawsuit and things like that, right? That's like how some of these orgs spend their money.
Well, yeah, and it's that's totally reasonable. FBC does that, GOA does that, everyone does that. And it frankly wouldn't be fair for Heller to have to pay for all this stuff.
Totally agree. Like this is a good thing. I want to give credit where credit is due. But
yeah, it's odd that you can't find it.
Generally it's like just out there. Maybe he's filed this one like in conjunction with like some law firms that are local there, and the advocacy organizations weren't a part of it, which is not a shot across their bow or anything. Just maybe he's doing it by himself this time.
Right.
Because I think it was SAF. It was DC versus Heller, right?
I don't know, man.
I don't know either. I don't know.
I don't remember. I mean, I know that I know that wasn't the NRA, and
they definitely took credit for it. I bet.
They tried to torpedo it a couple times. And that's well documented.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you've already know about that. But anyway, sorry guys, I couldn't find it.
That's okay. It's okay. I'm sorry to put you on the spot there.
You did.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Do we have good news yet?
Do we?
I don't think so.
No, it's not good news. It is so after the Gun Control Act, right, we wound up with a whole list of people who are not allowed to own a gun under federal law.
Yes.
And there was something in that law, I think it was 921G, that said, if this happened to you and you're a good boy, you can have your rights back. And since the 1990s, Congress has continuously refused to allow any funding to go to the provision of that section. So people with felonies, people with domestic violence misdemeanors, no matter how old, no matter how unserious, never get their rights back.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a challenge that was brought by Mr. Levon Roundtree, who missed a couple months of child support payments almost 20 years ago.
Oh, wow. They should have actually just given him the death penalty.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But
no, I'm kidding. I don't.
I know. Right. Yeah, he pleads guilty because he's like, I didn't make the payments. I'm sorry. Right.
Okay.
In Wisconsin, this was a felony.
Good Lord.
So he was then charged for unlawful possession of a firearm when 15 years later, he has a revolver and some cartridges in his house.
Weird.
Yep. So
I'm sure that he's doing it. I'm sure he had those for really bad reasons, right? Like he was.
Well, given that he never committed any crimes in the intervening period, maybe he was just really bad at it.
Weird.
Yeah, maybe he was just really bad at being a criminal, or maybe he was a law-abiding person.
Yeah.
Spoiler: he was just a law-abiding guy. He sued, challenging the constitutionality of this provision, and the Supreme Court declined to hear it. So this is another case where somebody with an insane felony still doesn't get their rights back, no matter what. And we've seen them, like there's been cases before. A guy who sold diabetic foot inserts said that they were Medicare approved, and they weren't quite. That was a felony.
Like armor companies say NIJ certified, but they're not.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that was a felony. He never gets to have guns again. There were there are tons of instances. Catching lobsters that are undersized, that's a felony.
Wow.
There's a lot of things that are egregious felonies. And there's one piece of federal law that makes most of it, such as using wood pulp from a unreputable source.
Well, that's incredibly important.
Yeah.
You got to have your wood pulp from Good Peeps.
Yeah, you got to check your wood pulp certifications. You can't just use any old wood pulp. Come on now.
Yeah, talking about let's enforce the stuff on the books. This is the stuff on the books.
That's on the books, fellas.
Yeah, like, and I know how they do it, right? Like, I know how it happens. They're like, hey, man, you know, like if a mom and a dad, if they split apart, like, you know, whoever has the kid, the other person should definitely have to pay some stuff for the kid, right? Because the kid needs stuff. The kid needs food. The kid needs clothes. The kid needs, you know, school supplies, things like that. And I think that both people need to come together and do this. That sounds great, right? Right. And you're like, yeah,
I'm with you.
I definitely think that should happen.
Let's make
it's a felony. It's a felony.
Yeah, if you can't make it for a couple months.
Yeah. You did this. This isn't the politician's fault. You voted for this. Yeah, they can say whatever dumb thing they want, but until we're like no longer just like fooled because something sounds great, do it for the children. No, I'm not going to do it for the children. I'm never doing anything for the children ever again. Ever.
Yeah, it's like a dog whistle at this point.
Well, at least the Supreme Court's going to overturn this, right?
No, they refuse to hear it.
God damn it.
They just said no. But there's more in the hopper. I mean, they keep finding cases. And I worked on a brief on this one saying, hey, y'all should really take this one. It's kind of messed up.
Man.
Yep. And they, you know, the Supreme Court is gun shy.
Yeah. I'm gonna say right now, when Trump was running for office, I don't like Trump. I think he's a douchebag. But anyone who makes the progressive leftists that angry is A-okay by me. And when I voted for Trump the first and the second time, it was in order to burn down the system, right? Because he was making people absolutely lose their minds. And I don't like those people that were losing their minds. So when he makes them angry, that makes me happy.
Yeah, TDS. You're enjoying Trump derangement syndrome.
Just so much, so incredibly much. And it was fantastic. And then he starts mean tweeting Kim Jong-un. And I'm like, that's cool. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. Let's like the whole system just needs to collapse because that is a great thing, I think, because we need to rebuild it from the ground up.
And then he said, take the guns first, due process later.
And I was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely not a deal. And
I don't like silencers.
Then I convinced myself, okay, yeah, like he's kind of burning it down just a little bit. But I convinced myself that, you know what, like if nothing else, he is going to put people on the Supreme Court that I think are going to be friendly to the Second Amendment because that's what all their past history has showed, or at least what their political leanings are generally associated with. So you know what, he could be the greatest president of my lifetime because he's putting people on the Supreme Court that are actually going to do something for freedom and the Second Amendment. And I was duped twice. I don't know what to.
I mean, we do have a much better Supreme Court than we did, but they are just like, and here's the thing is like this whole country is fallen for a tremendous scam. It's a data virus that we believe. Well, no, because where do they look for Supreme Court judges? They look for all these little Harvard dweebs, right? Who have no real world experience. They're just. I hate the entire structure of the Ivy League system. Sure, I've got a chip on my shoulder. I didn't go to an Ivy League school, but these are not people who have the right experience, who have the right exposure, you know, to be able to make real decisions and make real calls. And I think that bizarre pseudo intelligentsia that we have in this country, where, well, what do we look for as qualifications for our most powerful judges and stuff like that? Oh, well, we look if they went to the top school. Oh, well, what do you have to do to get to the top school? Well, you have to kind of know life it and do really good in high school. You know, the thing that doesn't matter. And then be very socially awkward and not, you know, and devote all of your time as an 18-year-old to classes when you're in college so that you get really good grades. And also be super duper woke. And
Yeah.
then you go to the super college, and there it doesn't matter how bad your work is, you still graduate with a degree because the top law schools can't kick anyone out because it would hurt their rankings.
Yeah.
So those are the people we pick to decide what cases to do.
And I think even people that go to those Ivy League schools, like even if they're, reasonably freedom minded, when you are just absolutely inundated every single day with just progressive leftist group woke think, like eventually you start to buy into it. Like it's impossible, right? It's just a big, huge psyop.
Well,
And then,
and they think everything is like they're not men of action, right? They think that they buy into this like, slow moving gear theory where everything has to come through 1,000 cuts, right?
right.
Because that's how progressivism has taken hold.
Yeah.
It didn't just grab, right? They'd go and snip, 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 right?
Yeah.
Just taking little slices, and then once you've carved everything into a new shape, you're like, look, see, it's always looked like that.
Yeah.
And so they've got that bizarre mindset, and so they know that all of the stuff has been eroded over a long period of time, but they don't want to just like put it back wholesale, right?
Yeah.
They're I don't know, man. That's just I think that we are the victim of a tremendous marketing ploy by these top universities, because I've met some people who were Ivy grads that are brilliant, wonderful people. I've met a lot of them though, and most of them are like weird, dumb, bad people, right? Who are just highly privileged and have no frame of reference for anything. And I detest them, and I detest the system that spat them out and put them into positions of power where they then destroy everything because they don't know any better. They don't. They're not equipped.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I really get heated
No,
about that.
good. That's
I
awesome.
mean, am I onto something here, or do I just have a huge chip on my shoulder?
So I don't think I don't think either one of those things is bad. First of all, second of all, I haven't been exposed to too many of them. I've definitely a lot of college educated, but never any Ivy League because I was always in the IT industry, computer software and systems architecture stuff.
Well, yeah, they would never go anywhere near something so low as to be actually useful.
Exactly. But so I was in a position to hire many times throughout my career before I started doing podcasts for a living.
Mhm.
And anytime that I saw somebody with excessive schooling, I would skip that application or that resume because that told me pretty much everything I needed to know. I wanted to see people who had like built projects and done projects and moved up from the bottom and then just like moved their way up in a company. Like that was the people I was really interested in because that shows me initiative, and I was more interested in that in someone who can just figure it out than somebody who spent, $100,000 on school. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that if you did that I think that that's bad, because I don't think that's true at all. But I do agree with you that we're being sold this pie in the sky thing that doesn't really bear out in reality.
Yeah, it's just not real, right? And the people I know who will not hesitate, who will never fail to mention where they went to school, are all non cum laude, right? Like they did not graduate top of their class. And yet they still base their entire existence on where they went to school decades ago. And I hope that we as a country can see that for the idiot scam that it is and start punishing those people severely with public beatings.
Yeah, I can
Mhm.
agree with that.
Mhm. For what they did.
Yeah, it's coming for you.
So, so when was the last time you went to a military surplus store?
Dude, like a week ago?
Really, was there anything good?
No,
Yeah,
but
there never is. You know why?
I don't. I wish I
Because
did.
we don't sell our surplus to us anymore. We just leave it around.
Oh, Yo, Afghanistan, you got an eBay store or what?
Yeah. So, are you surprised U.S. military weapons are being sold in Afghan gun stores? All the stuff that we left as aid, the stuff which, we're not allowed to have.
My
We're,
favorite grenades on the shelf.
yeah, that's
It's wonderful.
and look at Sigmas. Pre-lawsuit Smith & Wesson Sigmas. Those are the good ones.
Okay, that's the logo of We Like Shooting is a Sigma.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Nice.
And little known fact.
F1 grenades.
Yeah.
26s.
AK mag.
Radios.
Crappy stock. Robert radios. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So, I mean, of course, we
Look
leave
at the whole pugno de Sigma. A fistful of Sigma.
Dude, that's actually a bucket list gun of mine.
Really?
Yeah.
I made a Glogma. I don't know. I think I showed it to you.
Maybe.
I took a Smith & Wesson Sigma upper, and I had a polymer 80 lower, and I'm like, I'm not buying any Glock parts. So,
Nice.
so I welded up the channel inside the Sigma and recut it to work with a Glock striker.
That's
and it's one of my favorite shooting guns now.
That's amazing.
It's the Glogma.
Oh man. Yeah. So them selling the guns, it doesn't surprise me at all. Like they're enterprising nomads and they find things and then they sell those things to buy the things that they need to like live and have sustenance.
Yeah, no, so like for sure not mad at them. Like this is an obvious thing to do. But here's what I wonder. Like, because we did literally just leave piles of A2s and stuff over there. Like, I wonder if they're like Mosin's used to be here now.
Probably.
If it's like, oh, that's just some stupid American surplus gun. That's trash. It's like $50.
Right.
I wonder if it's like that. And if it is like that, the other thing I wonder is, are there Afghan bubbas who are like, oh, I can't hunt with it like this. I'm gonna cut the sights off and I'm gonna put a scope on it and like a Monte Carlo stock.
Guaranteed there is.
I want to be there when a Afghani Bubba A2 is made.
What is it? Is it Khyber?
Yeah, but that's where they like. Well, I mean, I guess this stuff would get over there.
Yeah, it's probably the same. That's where all the Bubbas are because they're like making guns.
Yeah,
well,
Bubbas don't have that kind of skill though.
Well, yeah,
Bubbas just have a Dremel and a wish.
That's fair. That's fair. I guarantee that there's some of these wrapped in like muddy girl camo somewhere.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, so
there's night vision on that shelf too. By the way, I see it.
Grenades. What is it, PVS 7?
Probably. Yeah, it looks old. It looks big. It's right next to the Sigma, right to the right of it, vertically.
Okay. Oh yeah. Is that?
Or is it just?
Oh no, that's like a. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to pretend. It's either like a PVS 14 or something else.
It might be.
It's either this or that.
Yeah, and lots of Knight's armament, handguards on the lower right.
Yeah.
Military grade vertical grips.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep. Military grade. That just means they're dusty.
Yeah. Yeah. It means they're terrible and uncomfortable.
And I can see they already started getting rid of the SOP mod stocks.
Yep. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. They're like, I don't want this.
Yeah, this sucks.
This is uncomfortable and stupid looking. What's with this angle on the back? Yeah. All right. So how much do you love Smith & Wesson as a company?
So as a company, 0. But I do shoot Smith & Wesson guns. Like that's my main pistols.
Yeah, you've told me that you love your MIPS.
I do.
Your MIPS.
My MAMPs.
Yep. I'm waiting to shoot one of your Smith & Wessons because you told me how great they are. Until then, I am a Walther devotee.
Oh, that's fair. Like there's nothing wrong with that. You can like what you like.
Yeah, you're just wrong sometimes.
Well, yeah. At least I don't like Springfield.
Yeah, that's everyone can agree. Like that's like Ford and Chevy guys can sit down and agree that Dodge is not a real truck. Smith & Wesson and Walther guys can sit down and agree that Springfield is not a real gun.
So many people are mad right now.
Yeah, I wonder how many of them are Dodge owners who carry a Springfield.
Oh boy,
I bet you there's a tremendous crossover there. And if that's you, just comment, I'm upset.
Yeah, just say I'm mad. 5 stars, I'm mad. We'll be like, found the Springfield guy.
Found the Springfield Dodge guy.
I have very close friends and family members that shoot Springfields, and they're fine.
So my best friend got the first generation Springfield, and that was, you remember all the issues with those?
Yeah.
The striker launched into his eye.
Well, that was before the grip zone. You just didn't know.
Yeah. So he was dry firing, and the striker snapped, and the rear part of it launched into his eye, and he's all right, but he never bought one again after that.
That is so bad.
Yeah.
Version 1.
So years ago, so now we have the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act and all that stuff that prevents these spurious nonsense lawsuits from being used to just level gun companies. Well, when that was first coming up, Smith & Wesson definitely saw an existential threat, right? Because those suits were cooking and they were getting ready to launch them.
Mm-hmm.
So to narrowly evade this, Ed Schultz, who was the CEO of Smith & Wesson at the time, worked with the Clinton administration to put in a whole bunch of voluntary self-regulating gun control measures. He got ran out as CEO because of it. Everybody hated it. Everybody said that he was stupid and ugly after he did that.
Yeah, and he was.
Yep. And this Bearing Arms article, this week they interviewed him again. And he said he has no regrets.
Huh.
Yep. Ed Schultz said he thought at the time that other manufacturers would surely follow. Weren't they under the same pressure? Didn't they face 30 or more suits? Those suits, he said, generated millions in legal fees, and any one of them had the potential to implode the company.
Very interesting. And he was run out because of these choices, because of the public backlash. Is that?
I think public and internal.
And internal backlash, yeah.
Right.
It's just, like, I don't know, man. It's like guns.com. They recently announced that they were putting in a mandate for all their employees to be vaccinated by like November something, or else they would basically be fired, right? It just, did you know that? Did you hear about that?
Wait, what?
Guns.com, like last week.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's got to get the jab.
Yeah, everyone's got to get it. And then
I was going to add that as a story for us to talk about.
And then there's been some public outcry, so they walked that back. But I'm just like, okay, I am very much a person of know your audience. Like, whether it's in a room with people, whether it's on a podcast on the Firearms Radio Network, whether it's writing a comment on Reddit, I think it's very important to know your audience.
Right.
Like, and to, you don't have to cater to your audience, but you should be aware of the feelings in general of that audience, right? This is not knowing your audience. This is like, did they think that wouldn't become a public thing?
Like, yeah. Oh, this will never get out.
Yeah. And look, I'm not saying boycott them because I don't want to do cancel culture, but I can assure you, I was literally just emailing back and forth with someone at guns.com working on something, and I have now canceled all of that because, like, I'm like, yeah, I think that's ridiculous. I think that's a ridiculous thing. I have very good friends who've lost very good paying jobs because they refused to get something put into their body that they didn't want. And I don't know. It's just like, it seems risky for them to make that choice. And I see it very similar to Smith & Wesson, like making that choice that they made. And I think that it's a distinct lack of leadership in the way that they didn't know their industry, their audience, the people who actually keep them in business, and they don't know what's important to those people. And if they're that blind to the needs, wants, desires, and politics of the people,
it is indicative of a greater issue, isn't it?
Yes.
But, Sean, I don't want to hear from you if you're not gigavaxxed.
Bro, I don't think that's vaccine.
AstraZeneca, 2 injections, 4 doses Moderna, 3 jabs Pfizer's.
The picture
Sputnik.
The picture on screen is a dude injecting roids directly, or not even roids, but something directly into his bicep, and the bicep is as big as my head.
Yeah, and it's, don't talk to me unless you're gigavax, and it has all of the different vaccines and all of the doses you have to take.
Yeah, you know what I don't see there?
What?
Ivermectin. Yeah, don't talk to me till you're on that trip.
that ivermectin
Yeah.
trip.
But yeah, it's like it's a distinct lack. It's probably those Ivy League educated people that you said like really have no clue because they never like existed in a world. And generally a lot of these executives are not gun people. They're just people who are good at business. Ha business. And you know, they make these unilateral decisions.
Right,
Without,
because there's nothing that could challenge that into them, right?
And then they're like, why'd the NRA do this? Like, why
Yeah.
is everyone so mad at me?
Why would they do this?
Yeah, damn GOA. It's just like, yeah, and that to me signifies like such a distinct lack of critical thinking skills, lack of understanding, lack of courage. Like I don't even know what to say about it, but I was actually having this discussion yesterday with one of my co-hosts on We Like Shooting, who I disagree with strongly. And I was like, this is why you're not on my apocalypse team. Like, because we just have
Who was it?
It was Aaron.
Okay.
It was like we have such a
of course it was Aaron.
Difference in like the fundamental building blocks of how we are constructed as human beings that like I can't ever put my life in your hands.
So what was he saying? He's okay with the mandatory poker?
He's okay with companies implementing mandatory vaccines because they should be free to do what they want and people don't have to work there. And that, you know, if they don't want the vaccine, they can just like leave their job. And he thinks that's okay. And he's actually not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. And so like I don't even know where I stand with all that stuff because, you know, there's arguments everywhere. But my main thing is if somebody doesn't want to, you know, if somebody doesn't want something, even if their reasons are stupid, you shouldn't make them do it, right? And I think that forcing somebody to do something includes coercion.
Yes.
And definitely holding somebody's jobs above their head is coercion. And so I think that's morally wrong. But, you know, I can also understand why the company would feel the need to do it.
Yeah. Like he is 100% not wrong on that. Freedom is a thing. Companies should be able to do what they want. But I think it's reached a point where it's just so incredibly wrong. And like, I'm not saying that we should just have the government show up and, you know, shut these companies down because I don't believe in that. But at some point you have to just be like, you know what? That's wrong. That's wrong. That's messed up. That's screwed up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the solution is. But that's
it is interesting just how much of a, well, silly, but here's the thing is, are you have to check yourself and see, are you engaging in, you know, intersectionality, right?
Yeah, totally.
And if you are, it's good to admit that, right? But I don't think guns have anything to do with vaccine stuff, unless it's the government forcing you to do it,
right?
In which case, guns become extremely relevant. But like for stuff like this, you know, maybe guns don't have a big relation, right? And so maybe it wasn't so irrational for guns.com to think they could get away with that. However, it was very stupid, right? Because practically they know, right?
Yes. And I don't even think that they thought that they were going to get away with it. I don't think they thought anything. They were like, this is what's best for our business because we don't want people who are missing work, blah, 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 blah. Like they made this choice. They're probably like, wait, what? People are mad at us? What are you talking about? That to me just shows like, these are not members of the 2A community. These are like just people that want your corpos. Yeah. They want your dollars. They want to wear their suits and they want to, you know, put their Harvard degrees on their walls and things like that. Like
mind benders.
They're not me. And I prefer to give my money to people that are more like me.
Yeah. I prefer to give my money to me too.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's how I feel about it, I guess. Oh man, he's giving himself money right now. It's crazy. Oh, look at
that shot came out better than I thought it would.
Yeah, that was actually awesome. Hold on. I got this. Crinkling some money. Bam, what's up? Matt had a $100 bill.
Yeah.
I had a $1 bill.
Well, you got to pay, you know, you got to take care of yourself. You got to value what you're about, you know?
Yeah.
You got to know your worth. And so
I got a corporate Amex.
So yeah. I know my true worth. That's right.
$5.
$5. That's what I'm worth. That's the whole value of me. Just ask Sean.
No, I think you're worth way more than that.
whatever.
Aaron, he's worth $1. Just
I
kidding.
did have fun with him at the Brownell's house though.
It was great. Aaron's awesome.
But he is
he's just not on my apocalypse team.
He's such an Aaron. Like there is so much about him that is just so him.
It is. He's very distinct. He's my best friend.
I kept watching him get himself into such weird situations.
Oh God.
It was so funny.
I want to hear more about that.
He likes drunk people is something I observed.
Yes. Because they can't resist as well.
Whoop.
All right.
But yeah, so that's I wasn't going to talk about the guns.com Vax thing, but we did anyway. So whatever. But there is one more thing.
Yeah, I just see it as the same thing as like the Smith & Wesson thing, right? It's just
exactly. No, you're right. You're 100. I will say it because you didn't say it this time, so I'll say it. I 100% agree.
Wow. Do I say that a lot? Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah, it's like one of your catchphrases.
Yeah.